And I saw her this weekend, and I said, so are you taking Spanish? She said, no, everybody speaks Spanish, so we're learning Chinese. They teach Chinese. And I was like, you're kidding me. That amazed me.
Yeah. Well, it might come in handy if she's a college president and going on a visit sometime. Yeah. She'll know about clocks. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I can tell you get it, and talk about, use these ideas to inform your discussion now as we talk about things that trustees need to know. Some of the stumbling blocks that can get in our way are conflict and confusion over who's in charge. That even affected Alexander Haig. You remember after the president was shot, President Reagan, and they asked him who was in charge now that Reagan was undergoing surgery. He said, I'm in charge. But he wasn't. And he should have known better. So and he's an old military guy, he should have known. If he should have known, then we're going to get into some similar problems sometimes in knowing whether the president is supposed to make this call of the college or we're supposed to make this call. Well, what happens when somebody jumps us in a grocery store and he's angry about, or she's angry about something that's going on at the college? What's the proper response to that? Who is supposed to respond to the person who has the criticism? Again, is it the president? Has the board sat down and worked that out with the president? If we get flack from the constituencies in our communities, do you want to hear everything we say or only stuff that we think is important? Have all those things been worked out between president and board? They probably should be. When they aren't worked out, then you're going to get conflict and confusion over who's in charge. You get ego trips, and this can happen to presidents or trustees. You can have people saying it's my way or the highway, and that just doesn't work. You can get unethical behavior, and sometimes it's even unperceived unethical behavior. My favorite example is a woman who was a trustee in the state of, I'm not even going to say, in the Midwest, who was a really nice lady, and I was at her board meeting one night, just sitting in as a consultant to their board. They were doing some board development. She said, I just want to tell everybody on the board one really great piece of news. The people from the horticulture department came over to me last week, and they said that they wanted to do some complimentary planting of bushes and trees around our little convenient food mart, which is about a block from the campus. And then that will be a way of demonstrating to the world what a great thing this horticulture department does with its students, right? And all the other board members went, oh, no, you didn't let them do that, did you? And she says, well, why not? Well, because they're going to think that you're on the take, Gene. They're going to think that because you were a board member, you get special treatment from the college, you get free plantings and all like that, and you're supposed to be an unpaid board member. So how smart is that? And it went right over her head. In that case, though, fortunately, and this proves a point that I've always kind of believed in, ethical thinking is best done in groups. Because the last person to see a conflict of interest, at least in my life story, is always, when it's my conflict, is me, right? There's something about being too close to the situation to see clearly. And if you can have an ethical discussion, an honest ethical discussion with board mates, in a safe place, sometimes you can avoid these problems. So that can get to be a problem unless the board is comfortable doing that. You get disorganized and unprepared boards that never have retreats. You can get out-of-touch boards. You can get co-opted boards that are basically the tools of a local politician or a local economic engine. You can have lack of commitment by some boards who don't come to the board meeting. And don't contribute. You can have lack of imagination, and you can have failure of nerve, where you know you need to dump the agriculture program, but nobody wants to do it because they're afraid of some people they know will burp back really loud and long. So all of these things can be problems. And this isn't new stuff. This was all in a paper I wrote for ACCT 10 years ago called Issues in Governance, and it was part of the New Expeditions project. I pulled it out just for this meeting to see what had changed, and I decided not much. These things I still see happening among boards, and boards need to be better developed and better prepared so that these problems don't crop up. I guess if there's anything new, it's this last one. It's unwillingness to pull the trigger when you know what you have to do, even though it's not going to be easy, it's going to be hard. There's going to be some price to be paid in terms of friends lost, supporters lost, but you have to do this for the good of the college. And a lot of times boards I'm seeing in these rough times, in these turbulent times, are refusing to do what they know they need to do. Instead, they focus on weakness. They rely on expertise. They ask for another blue ribbon study. How about that, you know? We can't make the call tonight because we don't have enough information. They keep asking for more. Kind of like the issue on homosexuality in the Congress, right? What was it called? Don't ask, don't tell, yeah. People were just uncomfortable with making a decision either to keep it or throw it away or modify it. They just kept calling for another study. And that's what I call a failure of nerve. There's a tendency to obsess on process, and the faculty can really help you with that, because if there's anybody who's nuts about process, it's the faculty. Somebody once said an 18-to-1 vote at the faculty level is a tie. And it's pretty close, pretty close. Yeah. The idea of relying only on reason and not on your gut, the refusal to take a courageous stance, all these things have kind of got into our water lately, and they're affecting us, and I see them affecting the behavior of boards. So what can we do about that? So my questions for you, and that now gets down to your table, are what steps must New Jersey boards take to enable their presidents and colleges to meet emerging challenges? And I'm just going to ask you to come up with one or two, and you can take any of these challenges, the previous slide or any of these issues that we put on the pads or something else that you just invented at your table. A step is an action. What actions would you like to see New Jersey boards taking in order to be prepared to deal with the challenges that we've described? Second question, some of you have the essential question, is what's really important for boards? Of all the stuff that boards could study and concentrate on in the next year or two, I'm kind of doing Marcia's job here for her, aren't I? Marcia was going to have a conversation with the trustees about what's important to them. So you tell me, you tell us, Marcia's in the room, what's important, what's essential, and also the other side of that is what's less essential. Like every time you ask trustees what they want to know more about, how to do parliamentary procedure comes up. Let me nominate that for the throw it overboard category. Because that's a really small thing. I mean, you can buy a book at Borders that tells you what it, right? I mean, I didn't mean to say waste. Why are we going to use trustee time at important meetings like this studying parliamentary procedure when there's more important stuff like how do we get people to understand that the academy has something to do with employment? Since it didn't in Plato's time, right? And it hadn't for about 2,000 years. And now it seems to. How do we get that across to people? That was your issue, and I think that's a much bigger issue than parliamentary procedure. So what's essential and what's not essential? Some of you are going to talk about what must boards do first. If there were one thing that New Jersey boards could accomplish in the next year in support of this Big Ideas project, what would it be? I'm asking you. Some of you, anybody at a what's first table? Did anybody get that? You do? Okay, we got one back in the corner. Good. I'm glad we have somebody working on that. And the next question is, what must be coordinated with others? And who are the others we must coordinate with? Is cooperation or coordination or partnership on trustee development in any of these areas something that will require working something out with another group, like the presidents or the council or the freeholders, or you figure out the other group and tell me why it's important that this group not be forgotten. The faculty, I mentioned the faculty. Is it possible the trustees, I know this is a violation of a lot of presidents, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't think presidents worry when trustees talk to faculty, but they might get a little nervous if they saw them talking to the same faculty all the time in the same restaurant. I've seen that happen. But what should the relationship between the faculty and the trustees be? Is that a place where cooperation could be nurtured? Is there any possibility that faculty could come to love trustees as much as trustees love faculty? And trustees really do love faculty. We give a Faculty of the Year award in Illinois every year at our annual banquet, and I'm telling you, it's really something to see. I bring people in for the first time, and they're just bowled over by it because the trustees, and this is not scripted, they bring all these faculty up to the front of the room. They read their philosophies of education. One of them that I will never forget is a math teacher who said, if they came to my office hours every week as advised, I could teach math to a rock. Yeah, in other words, there were no people who couldn't learn math. That was his philosophy. Nobody is math deaf. Or initially incompetent. Anybody can learn math. That was his philosophy. Anyway, we read their philosophies of education, line them up like they're going to be shot, sort of along the wall, and then the trustees who are sitting out here with the presidents stand up and applaud, and the applause usually goes about 10 minutes, and there's tears running down the faces of the trustees. Every year this happens. So I'm convinced the trustees do appreciate the faculty. I would like to see it reversed a little bit. As an old faculty member, I can't ever remember in the faculty club ever hearing one good thing said about a trustee. It's too bad. Is there any way we could overcome that? Is that a group to work with? You know? And then what other questions do you have? If you don't like the questions you've been assigned at your table, blow it up and ask your own question and answer it, okay? And we'll debrief you here in 15 minutes. The leader of your table will also be the reporter, and the leader of your table is the person whose birthday is close to December the 7th. If you were born on December the 7th, you are the leader. If you were born on December 8th, you're probably the leader. Okay? Figure that amongst yourself. Who's got a birthday closest to December 7th, which is tomorrow? And then we will take it from there, okay? In 15 minutes, I'll want to talk to your table, so go for it.